What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Welcome to TSR Sports. The San Antonio Spurs roster currently stands at 17 asterisk because if you look at the ESPN roster, there's actually 18 players, but one of those doesn't count, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But the Spurs have to cut the roster from 17 to 15. And appropriately, I have an Expendables 2 poster behind me because two players are going to have to be deemed expendable by our Spurs. I ask you, though, in the comments down below, which two players do you think are most likely to not be on the active roster when the season starts? Of course, hit that thumbs up if you like to support the channel and subscribe for more Spurs content. So as we look at the roster and we scroll all the way down, there are 18 players. I mentioned one asterisk. That's going to be Joe Wiestcamp. He is on a two-way contract right now with the San Antonio Spurs. What is a two-way contract? NBA teams may have up to two players under NBA two-way contracts who will spend the bulk of the season in the NBA G League, which is the Austin Spurs, and not more than 45 days with their NBA team. So essentially, he's a G League player that can come up and play for our San Antonio Spurs, but he can't obviously spend more than 45 days. He does not count as a roster spot. So we have 17 players that needs to be cut down to 15. Now Joshua Primo, more than likely going to go to G League. He's 18. I'd rather see him get 20 minutes a game or more and get some game in than sit on the bench and do nothing. But he does count against a roster spot based on his contract. So what I did is, I'm going to bring it up in just a moment, I made a group of players that I've been seeing brought up the most who are most likely to get cut. I also brought up their contracts. My apologies, the text is a little hard to read. Hopefully you can see it on whatever device you are looking at. My 2 cents on who will get cut will be based on performance, what I see possible future for their team, what their ceiling could be, but also their contract situation. You got to look at contract when it comes to cutting players. So speaking of contracts, here we go. There are two elephants in the room, but they're two elephants that are getting brought up a lot. But these are the players that I see people talk about the most who might not make the team, and I agree this is probably the list that could not be a San Antonio Spur come next week or so. The two elements in the room, Derek White and Lonnie Walker. We'll start with Lonnie. Lonnie has struggled in the preseason, and yes, he's been very inconsistent in his 3 years as a San Antonio Spur. He's making almost $5 million this year. The Spurs are not cutting him. If Lonnie's not going to be on the team, they're going to trade him before they try to cut him, or his contract will expire, or they'll do a sign and trade type thing. He's not being cut. I don't see that happening. I give that a 1% chance, but I would not hold my breath because I don't think it's happening. The other elephant in the room, Derek White. Derek White just signed a 4-year extension, and he's going to be making about 17 plus million a year. And doing some research online, you have to take contract information with a grain of salt because it's a lot of sites are saying, this might not be entirely accurate, but it looks like 68 million of that contract is going to be guaranteed. No way, shape, and you know where are the Spurs going to cut a player and just throw away almost $70 million. That would be absolutely detrimental to the growth of this team. So Derek will be a Spur. That being said, if his preseason performance, which unfortunately has not been good, carries over into the regular season, could Papa bench him and have somebody else start like Lonnie or Devin Vassell? Yes. Could the Spurs try to trade him? Possibly. He's not getting cut. So I know folks like to cut Derek White. No way it's happening. The contract just not going to happen. So that leaves us the other 6 players, and I'll just kind of go down the line. No disrespect to any of the players here. I certainly wish them all the best, whether they're a Spur or not, but 2 have to go. We'll start off with Alfred Amino, and I think he is the player most likely to get cut out of everybody listed here. He's on the last year of his contract, and from what I can tell, it's not guaranteed, so that's $10 million of cap space. He has played very little the last 2 years, and he's not a good shooter. I believe for his lifetime shooting percentage is 42%. In the last 4 or 5 years, it's been really bad. I don't see him contributing anything to the team. He doesn't fit where we're going. We're doing the youth movement. He's north of 30. I think he's 31 this season. Al, my apologies, but I just think he's going to be the first player that's expendable. Second player on this list, Luka Samanic. This one is tough. I've been rooting for this kid. Yes, we have the nickname Sandwich on the channel and Sandwich Master, but I am rooting for him. And I was all in for as much as you could be an all in as a player that's barely played the last 2 years and showed us a lot of potential in the G League last year and has shown his potential here and there. But last night may have been the turning point with the San Antonio Spurs. I want to show you what happened against the Magic last night if you're not able to see the game. The Spurs turned the ball over. Luka Samanic right there. Cole Anthony takes off, and Samanic stops running. and Cole Anthony gets the easy dunk. I want to show you this again. Watch carefully. Primo, bad pass, interception, and Luka just gave up on the play. I don't know how many times in my life I've seen players who were beat on defense at least catch up, alter the shot, foul, make the player do free throws, or block the shot. And Luka just completely gave up. And that is such a bad look because there's been talk about him not giving a full effort at times on offense or defense. And last night that was glaringly visible that he gave up on the play. And when you are trying to save your spot on a roster, which is already in question because of how little you play, that's not a good look. And as much as I have been rooting for him and defending him at times, I can't defend that. Luka, you gave up. You visibly just gave up. And it's not like you have been playing 46 minutes and you're just gassed. You just came into the game a few minutes ago. There's no excuse for that. If you are trying to save your roster spot, you got to show you are giving 110% all the time. And that may show Patfo. Pop in the front office. He does not want to be here. He could be a surprise cut. I don't think he'll be the second player. But it wouldn't be surprising if he was because of what happened last night. That is, I know it's only one play, but he's shown that type of attitude here and there, and that was just such a bad look for the young player that I hope that doesn't cost him a spot on the Spurs, but if it does, I'll understand. Thaddeus Young is a tough one. Thaddeus is guaranteed to make $6 million this year, so I think just that alone will keep him on the roster. But also, we have very little vets, and Thaddeus Young, I believe, is the oldest player on the roster at 33. Been in the NBA over 10 years, so I think the Spurs are going to want to keep a vet on the team, and I think it's going to be him. I originally thought he would be one of the players that would be cut. I think he's going to be on the roster. He's shown us some glimpses of really good playmaking, or good plays that he's made in the preseason. He's also looked disastrous with just really careless turnovers. It could just be hasn't found a niche with the team. He's not used to playing with these guys, so I'm going to hopefully chalk it up to that than just not him being, bad at basketball. So I think Thad will be on the team. Moving later on, KBD, that could be one that's cut. He's one of those players that's shown us, the ability to make plays. Also, last night against the Magic, just really show me his athleticism is lacking when it comes to finishing around the rim. Just he's on a small contract, under $2 million a year. I don't know how much of that's guaranteed. Basketball Reference, where I got all this contract information from, the last thing it notes is that he was signed to a two-way contract. That was the last season. He's on a regular contract this year. He could be one of the cuts right now. If I was to pick out of this list, I think he, Al, or Luka are probably going to be 2 out of 3. Trey Jones, I don't think he's getting cut. I think the Spurs are going to still have hopes for him to be a future backup point guard for the team. Although I will say Drew Eubanks does give me a little maybes. A lot of you in the chat during the live streams, some of you like his energy and you want to keep him here. Some of you say he's too sloppy. There are times where he gets very careless with the ball and starts racking up turnovers left and right. I do love the energy. I do love the Thunder dunks of justice. He does have 2 more years on his contract, each under $2 million. I think they might keep him for depth right now. I don't see him getting cut just because of depth. Right now you got Jakob Poeltl, Jacques Lindell, and Drew Eubanks are centers. Yes, Zach Collins on the team and can play center. He's out probably till next season. So just that alone, needing depth for big men, I think Drew's going to be here. So despite some obviously big holes in his game, I think he's staying here. And then, of course, I've already mentioned Derek White and Lonnie Walker. So to sum it up, once again, Al, Luka, and Keita, I think, are more than likely 2 of those 3 are going to be gone. And it sucks, the players have to get cut. I don't want to see anybody lose their job, especially now with the world being the way it is. I'm sure they'll be okay. Hopefully they invested smart and financially they should be well. But I think Al's number 1 to go. And it's going to come between KBD and Luka. With Luka's lackadaisical effort lately, that may cause the Spurs front office to go, you know what, you ain't got a kid. It's time to move on. And it would suck to have a first-round pick, just that quickly after 2 years. But it is what it is. And if he ends up moving on from the Spurs, we'll have to move on and wish him the best. That's all I got. Once again, drop a comment down below. You think I'm off my rocker with the picks I've made, or do you think I'm pretty much spot on? Always like reading your comments. Even I don't always get to respond, love to read what you guys have to say about our Spurs. That's all I got. Until next time, and as always, go Spurs, go!